assalamu alaikum, good morning, khushamdi, ji ayanu, goedemorgen.
Becher Agele, Ni Hao, Tune Shumme, Washmale, Ohio Gonzaimes, Guten Morgen, Hola, Bonjour, Privyet, Kaifahal, Hale Shuma Chotore, Ahlan Wasalan Marhaba, Buna, Mucho, Gracias, Swabia, Bali Karaya. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to PTV World. You watching World this morning alongside the very fantastic, the very super energetic Shiza Hashmi and Shahzad Khan. Hello, Shiza. How are you doing on a cold Monday morning over here in Islamabad?
I'm doing absolutely great, thank you so much for asking. But yes, it's cold, but sunny is fine, right?
Yeah, sunny is fine. Thank
winter
God,
sunny,
alhamdulillah.
it's okay. I mean, we can do it.
And ladies and gentlemen, she actually took her time to say that sunny is fine because, in the previous week, we actually, all of us witnessed that it was raining for more than 3 or 4 days as well over here in Islamabad, and we couldn't actually get any light of sun. So, just because of that.
I have a reason for that.
Really?
Actually.
Okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
It's because my clothes weren't drying, the ones that I would wash. I mean, the sun needs to be there, right? So even, of course, I used to put my hanging rack in my terrace, a tiny one. So, of course, I mean, they would be dry within an hour or so. But with no sun, it has to dry under the fans, and it's winter, and it was such a mess. So, well, now I do realize how important it is to have fine sunlight, a pleasant one, actually.
It is, and even other than that, even if you have left your clothes outside, probably on a terrace or on a balcony as well, whenever you're going to go get them, you will feel as if they're still wet as well. But most of the times they're not wet, they're just cold.
Yes,
they're just cold. So yeah.
Absolutely. All right, but other than that, how was your weekend? It's Monday, ladies and gentlemen. I wish you all the best spirits to carry on with this week as well.
Exactly.
But how was your weekend?
I think I had a very happy weekend, and there's a reason. And in all my namaz, I was just praying to Allah Almighty that I want each and everybody to be safe out there. And we want that, for all that kind of work we do, we should actually be getting back on track, and, that we should resume with all of what we were doing. And I was just praying, and all of a sudden, hey, I get a call, alhamdulillah, and they were like, hey, you know what, Lanka Premier League is happening.
Oh, yes.
So we want you to do it for us as well. So ladies and gentlemen, on PTV Sports, we're airing the Lanka Premier League or My 11 Circle. Alhamdulillah. Thanks to Dr. Noman Niaz for giving me this opportunity as well. So I was busy with that, and, and it's quite fun as well. Even today and tomorrow, we will be actually bringing you live action from Lanka Premier League, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll be hosting the pre and post match analysis as well. So I was very happy.
Are you excited about it?
I am very excited.
It's going to happen though.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
What do you think is going to happen with the match?
Well, today we have 2 matches, so, we certainly cannot say anything. But the best part is that one of the team captains is Mr. Shahid Afridi and Mr. Kusal Pereira, and there are other legendary players within those teams as well. But I think it's a great initiative they've taken so far, and amidst COVID, it was very difficult to resume cricket. But Sri Lanka actually has proved that they can actually do it, and they've pulled it off very well.
Well, it's a good time for a lot of people, and I hope, inshallah, that towards the end of this year, especially when we're wrapping the year up, we leave every bad thing behind in this year, including this pandemic that is, I mean, it's about time it leaves, right? It has hurt a lot of people, and I really wish and pray it doesn't happen anymore to any person over here. But other than that, Shahzad, well, again, now also because of the winter, but also because of the pandemic, a lot of universities, colleges, schools, educational institutions for that matter, have shut down again. So, of course, they have now new methods, and like we've always talked about how the hybrid model is working.
Learning management systems.
Of course. So everything is now online, but with this, of course, we cannot be sort of bland with what we had already. We cannot just stick to that. Times are changing, and we need to improve and change with time, and as fast as time as well. One thing, Shahzad, you and I always mention of how we have this sort of a reservation, or rather, I think it's a cry of help on part of all the students as well, on how we wish there were at least like fun or at least excessive number of courses to choose from, regardless of from what field. So for example, if I'm talking about media, there has to be so many options for me to choose from. And generally speaking, mass communications happens to be one, but I wish there were even more, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Same goes for engineering or for business for that matter. So I think along those lines, we're going to build our conversation of what Pakistan is doing lately in terms of higher education, where it's going, and then in particular about one institution.
Yeah, and thank God that we have actually, ladies and gentlemen, picked up on higher education, because talking about kids who are actually still going to school, I have been a witness to a few of their classes as well, because my daughter was taking her classes on her iPad. She's just 7 years old. And right after the lecture, I would ask her something, and she wouldn't have any clue about what she studied on that iPad. or particularly in that online class as well. So I think we have to keep that under consideration as well, that online classes are there for the time being, but I think that practical education or being there within the classroom where everything is tangible and the professor is right in front of you is something which makes you learn more, because
Definitely.
first you have this pressure from that professor as well, and then you know that this is the teacher who's actually going to mark us as well, so you behave well as well. And then on the iPad you're just probably doing something else as well, and then you're probably doing 4 or 5 things altogether.
Yeah.
But today, ladies and gentlemen, we have picked up on this. We want to transform the education sector over here in Pakistan. What needs to be done is something which we'll be talking about. But today, we really want to talk about that, that for all of these years, we have been hearing that there's mechatronics, there's different kinds of engineering, but then we haven't really revolutionized, or we haven't really picked up on newer disciplines or newer subjects, as Shiza mentioned. So where are we headed? Because there's no concept of career counseling over here in Pakistan, so we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by someone who's dedicated his entire life to academia, ladies and gentlemen. He, from being in NUS to being in, Foundation University, he's got a long journey, a PhD doctor himself. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that he's the right person that we'll be actually posing our questions to, and let's see what he has to say about our education sector and what kind of revolution do we really need to bring in, or what kind of transformation do we really need to give to all of those students who really want to have a good career in their life as well. We're very lucky that we've actually been joined by Brigadier Retired Dr. Abdul Ghafoor Saab, Satara Imtiaz Military. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Walaikum assalam. Good morning to you as well.
Thank you so much for
Sir,
coming,
thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you over here. But there's one question which I wanted to ask you before we, kind of start with a serious conversation. That is, to have dedicated your entire life to books in academia. How do you feel about it?
It's a pleasure to be in that area. I would say one has to have that passion, and passion to learn, and passion to let others learn about it. That is what I worked for, and that is how I have been doing that in that.
And that's wonderful. So you're in love with it, and you're actually pursuing what you've loved more than yourself as well.
That's right.
All right.
That's
So,
wonderful.
sorry if I might
Go
take
ahead.
a bit away as well. Now, sir, talking about, you are now, mashallah, the pro-rector for Foundation University as well. And so let's talk about that specifically, because, of course, the system now, especially after the pandemic, has changed entirely. And no one expected it to, right? And it was sort of an impromptu action from all the institutions. Everything moved online. The transition, first of all, do you think it has been smooth? And do you think the teachers and the students, both the parties, are really now on the same page?
Well, it was a challenge. It was not a smooth transition.
Okay.
It was really a challenge.
Yeah.
The day it was decided, and you know that Government of Pakistan decided immediately that
Yes.
from 3 days from now we are closing the universities and everything. And it was actually challenge for us also, university, and challenge at the Higher Education Commission.
Exactly.
They actually conducted a lot of trainings to the faculty. They gave a lot of instructions. We at Foundation University, having a strong engineering IT program, computer science and software engineering, we also worked overnight
Yeah.
and taught
Shifted
our
everything,
actually
yeah.
teachers how to go about it. And within a week we were ready. Of course, like you were mentioning earlier, it was not that smooth, and it was a challenge. We had to go gradually into that. Students were not ready at all. Teachers are not ready. It's not giving only the lecture. It is actually truly conveying the concept.
Exactly.
That concept is difficult. If you are teaching maybe management courses, you're teaching general economic courses, that you can prepare a presentation and give it on slides, and you can show it on the
Exactly.
screen.
Right.
That is easy.
Yes.
But teaching them the concept of the labs, of the mathematics behind it,
Absolutely.
in the computer arts,
Yeah.
especially where people have to work with hand, that was a challenge, and it's still a challenge. We are still in the transforming stage.
Right, and so, that is actually sort of one thing I was going to talk about later, but let's just do it now, in fact. I had friends, of course, who were studying different sort of engineering, and especially with the ones in the chemical, they would spend till 9 p.m. they were in the labs,
Yeah.
because, of course, a lot of work to do. Now, similar with my friends who are now doing MBBS, it is a lot of practical work. So how do you justify students who opted for that degree and wanted to have that sort of experience to, well, learn things online? It was really ridiculous for me to see that people of MBBS were actually attempting their profs and Viva online.
Yeah.
I mean, Weren't you supposed to do that practically? Does that first of all change or alter the process of education for that particular degree?
Well, I think this is a challenge, like I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
But pandemic doesn't stop
Anything, that's
entirely
true.
that you need to shut it down. What we need is we need to have the implementation of SOPs,
Okay.
proper mask, proper distance, and then reduce the number of students in the labs. You teach them online and then bring them to the labs.
To practice
There are
that.
certain courses where you can have a simulation kind of training. That is in software, computer science, and partly in the medical also, and partly in other disciplines as well. But mainly those have to be, the individual students have to be given exposure to the lab, hands-on practice. For that, we have to bring them to the lab. For that, actually, we can divide them, and we can bring divide into small groups and bring a couple of students each time and repeat it. That is how we are doing it.
Exactly.
I
And
like
think-
it, and that doesn't even waste any
I think
time.
a lot of universities are even doing it as well. But I think, Shiza was trying to say over here was that, in fact, what I'm going to say is that, pairing for your prof or for your vivas on Skype or, for whatever software is available over there, I think that's fine. But studying the anatomy of our human body over an iPad, I think will be a little difficult. Rather, you would want to have a body in front of you. So I think, I'm going to partially agree to what you've said. Yes, it has altered, but we have to keep in mind that, we really do not want students to miss out on a complete
That's true.
educational year as well, or an academic year. But now, sir, I want your opinion on this as well. Do you think that with online mechanisms in place, students are learning rapidly, or do you think that that we're not really making them learn, but it's just that we're passing this time or these tough times of pandemic?
No, I should be honest. Students are not doing that much, are not learning that much as we expect them learning in the class or learning in the lab.
Yeah.
There are two reasons. One is that, like you mentioned earlier, I was listening to you, that when the students are in the class, they are right in front of the teacher.
Yeah.
And they are forced to behave, to listen, to be attentive. And then teacher can always invoke them, ask them what I've said just now.
Exactly.
Online, they can skip. There's a class of 40 students, maybe 20 are online, 40 of them they get online, and then they vanish.
Yeah.
You can't have everybody in front of you. You are communicating, and they are listening. They may be listening with a smartphone, and keeping everything.
You're right.
Yeah. So there is a challenge. Students are not actually. The other thing is, teachers are trying. Students are also trying, but students generally, it's a normal tendency, tend to make shortcuts, and they tend to relax. That is
Exactly.
what it is, and that relaxation is actually hindering in their learning.
And even Twitter is full of prayers for Shafqat Mahmood Sahab as well. For every
It's so
student who's out there, they're like, sir,
I love
the
we salute you, aapko kabhi sardi na lage, and all of that. But sir, one more thing before we actually talk about, whether we need to pick up on newer disciplines or not, and that is that every time our vice chancellor or the rector would come around the university, or he is on the round of the university, we just had this internal fear that we do not really want to get caught, or we really do not want to be in front of him, just like that, off guard. So asking about you and your personality, the kind of pro rector you are, do you think that your students are rather scared or rather more comfortable when they are around you?
Well, absolutely no. First thing I do when the students, they report to the university on their orientation, I tell them we are here because of you.
Wow.
It is you that we have to build you, we have to make you good citizen, good learner, and then of course a successful future person. So I share my personal email, and I tell them they can communicate around the clock anytime they feel. Reason is, if they are comfortable, if they can share their problem, then half of the problems
It's all.
It's
are
solved
solved.
already.
Yeah,
I
that
love
is
this
what it
approach.
is. They don't hesitate to come to my office. Yes, I do catch them. I do catch them when they are improperly dressed, when they are making noise, when they are not in the class is going on, of course. But then, of course, you have to, they are like your own children.
Exactly.
You can't deny the relationship. You have to behave like a father, like their elder, and that is how I always share with my peers that you have to build them. You have to take them along. You don't shut them, don't shout at them, don't tell them go away. You teach them. Take few seconds, a few minutes of them, and make them realize, and then let them go to the next step. That
I
is how
love
it
this
should.
approach, and this really sort of makes an impact, and that is how it should be. But now, sir, I'm going to take you back to what you said just a while ago about the attention span of students being disrupted, which is true. I happened to take one semester online, and which is true, Shazad. I was listening to my lectures in my ears, in my earphones, of course, while washing dishes or while doing things. So I was always never paying attention. But that makes me realize, like you said, it was a bigger challenge for the teachers. Of course, it's also because of the generation they come from. Not a lot of them were acquainted to the technology and how to go about it. And initially, you mentioned that you trained the teachers before everything went online. How was that? Were the teachers? Yes, it is a challenge, but like, were they really comfortable with learning? The technology and going about it as well?
Well, the reason to that is the one that is their profession.
Yeah.
They have to excel in that.
True.
And they have to adopt a method which is accepted to everyone, to the management, to the students, and the environment which happened. Actually, the pandemic caused us to go on online. So they were, I would say 90% people were serious. Of course, you can see the old teachers who have not been through this digital age. They have been just studying through the books. There was a challenge to move them on, but still,
they took the challenge, of course.
They took the challenge, and we are gradually improving.
Exactly.
That's brilliant.
And sir, I believe that there's no shame in it. Ladies and gentlemen, how many times we as kids have to teach our parents that, hey, you know what, this is where you have to go, this is how you will text message, this is how you will Skype call as well. And I think everybody was adopting to the newer norms as well. And it's wonderful that everybody took that initiative and they have fulfilled it, alhamdulillah, and that everybody is attending their online classes, which is wonderful. And I think it's remarkable as well, because the kind of time we took to actually adopt to all of that was very little, and I think it was superb. And education must go on, ladies and gentlemen, and we have been emphasizing about that. But now, sir, coming down to the kind of education being provided to students within the universities. Now, for example, you mentioned about software engineering, you mentioned about mechatronics or mechanical for that matter, or chemical. But these are the kind of engineering which has been around for over a century now. And we are seeing that there are people who actually talk about newer disciplines, newer engineering techniques as well. How are we going to incorporate all of those latest trends within our education system, because we do not really see people working in that direction?
Right, okay. Well, I've seen life in 80s, late 70s when I joined the university, and there it used to be very clearly defined boundaries.
Okay.
This is mechanical, this is civil, this is electrical and chemical and so on. And later on we saw when the digital revolution came, we saw software engineering coming up, we saw computer science. It wasn't there at that time. I mean, of course, computer science was there, computer engineering was not there, software engineering was not there. And then with the passage of time, we realized that telecommunication came in.
Exactly.
Now you see telecommunication people are wedding out. I mean, there's no more, they're being converted into electrical engineering. Electrical engineering rather is now being converted into computer engineering because of the market and because of the need of the student. Today, the students needs education in diverse fields. That is the reason. And they need it because the boundaries between the disciplines in our life outside the environment is not clearly defined, they are overlapping. If you recall a decade earlier, people doing engineering then used to do MBA just to give them some concept of business. Now what we are doing, and HEC has already issued instructions on that, and we started at NUST, that we must have one major and two minors.
Yes.
While you are studying engineering, say mechanical, you can opt in economics, you can opt in architecture, you can opt in social sciences as minor. And when you graduate, you have the multiple skills available to you. And then you can, I was made responsible for that, to prepare that curriculum. And my logic was that when they will appear for the interview for the job, they will be accepted because they'll have more diversity in their communication and their understanding. And that is what is needed. We need not to come out with the new disciplines. Actually, it is the curriculum which needs to be evolved.
So it needs to be a mix of kind of managing things and then having specialized knowledge about a subject.
That's right. It is the few decades back it used to be pure engineering. Now we have ethics there, we have management there, We have social sciences there.
Exactly.
And it is a need of the time. And that is, we need to actually improve upon the curriculum, bring diversity in that. We need to teach the students about the community engagement also.
Exactly.
They need to look outside what is happening, what the community, what the society outside needs us. And that needs to be looked at, and they need to be learning that.
That's absolutely true, sir, and we agree with you about your approach as well. But you know, it is the time of computers, and the future is the AI. And people like us, Shazad, we are going out of jobs, I'm telling you that. But generally speaking as well, so one of our neighboring countries introduced this education law that by 6th grade, it was compulsory for every student going to school to learn basic coding and computing, which is, to be honest, it sounds amazing to me for a person who's never studied computer. I wish I at least knew the basics of it, right? Do you think, first of all, this is a good idea to incorporate such things in our system?
Well, I think, like I mentioned, that in higher education we are trying to
Yes, that is
revolutionize.
brilliant.
We need to revolutionize the lower education also. Of course, there's a lot of diversity at the moment also. There's a lot of variation. People in the villages, they are still looking at the handwriting and book writing, etc. But in those in the advanced schools, of course, better schools, they are better taught. Of course, but I think some concepts needs to be. We have to go by the demand of the nations, of the environment outside. We have to teach our younger and the stage students that way. We need to bring some kind of awareness to all the categories.
And now, sir, this. I'm sorry that I have to come up with this question as well, but this is a question which has been close to my heart ever since I went to university, because I wasn't really a very bright student, but I was in my college days as well. And Alhamdulillah, I was a good student. When I went to university, I had scholarships and whatnot. But now, as a matter of fact, for you, you've worked for NUST as well. You've worked for the most amazing universities we have over here in Pakistan. Now, not everybody is going to get a chance to, get their admission within those universities as well. So don't you think that we really need to have a national curriculum as well, where each and every university is actually at least moving in the same direction? Now, you spoke about having one major and two minors as well, which is going to give a good mix to the student. And once they will be appearing for their job interviews, there won't be any difficulty because they will have a mix of skill set. Now, for other universities where, I think that, they're not paying a lot of attention to the curriculum, I think that it's going to be very difficult for those children to compete in the job market. Now, how do you think that we come up with such a mindset where the kind of education we're providing is inclusive and is for everybody out there?
Standardized.
That's right. HEC has taken up this responsibility, and they are doing, actually, there's a committee known as National Curriculum Revision Committee.
All right.
They look at the curriculum of all the programs. By the way, any program you want to start, its approval comes from the HEC. So you have to have something which is listed with HEC, and HEC is responsible to provide the curriculum also.
Got it.
AI, you mentioned.
Yes.
AI, we are launching the MS programs at our university also, Foundation
MS.
University,
amazing.
MS, and subsequently you'll see that we'll have undergrad program also. So HEC, we are just waiting clearance from the HEC. HEC has the responsibility. It is a good, I would say, it's done wonders ever since it was transformed from University Grants Commission to higher education.
Absolutely.
And we have seen a lot of brightness in that, and that will come, inshallah, it will further improve the overall education in the country. So that curriculum is being devised by the university, of course, now it's implementation. Good
That
universities,
matters.
they try to implement that 100%, and at the same time bring international education to that also.
Exactly.
Those which are still coming up, they lack.
They're growing. They will learn.
Sir, one last thing, because you just mentioned about post-graduation and graduation programs coming up as well. So HEC says that for everybody who's actually studied for 16 years or more, they really do not need to go for a master's degree because they will give an equivalency certificate to them. Now, would you recommend going for that equivalency certificate for all of those kids who are out there? Because it's a longer debate. Even I have had it with my friends while I was studying for my master's. And they were like, what's the requirement? Why do you even have to do that when HEC is actually giving you a certificate?
So did we waste a degree?
No, I didn't miss the degree. But
Waste, I mean.
Yeah, but this is something which I'm going to ask. So do you think which one's better?
It's a little political. There's still debate going on at the university level. I would not like to say anything against HEC, but I think their their plan to have the major areas and minor area that will add the students' learning. That is for sure.
All right.
Second is the MS and PhD, how they would like to remove it and then go further. I think that will remain. We need to have the, they say actually for a general employment in the country, BS, there's 16 years of education should be good enough.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what they say.
But that's for employment only, right?
I think there are certain accrediting bodies like Pakistan Engineering Council and otherwise National Computing Education Accreditation Council and business. They are having different views on that. I'll not comment on that. I think they need to be, HEC needs to take them on board and decide.
Okay.
Of course, it is a good move to have diversity in the education. Someone being graduated after 16 years of education will have diverse education,
Exactly.
qualification. So that will give us the advantage. How good it is, how much we can implement it, that is yet to be seen.
All right.
MS and PhD will be needed for R&D purposes and for teaching in the universities.
Wonderful.
That will be needed. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you
Thank
very
you
much,
so
sir,
much
for
for
being
being
with
here,
us.
sir.
It was lovely to be in conversation with you. In fact, it was lovely to be in conversation with such a visionary as you
With-
are, sir. Thank you very
definitely,
much for
yes.
being with us.
Thank
and
you.
we definitely need such rectors and vice chancellors and teachers and professors in our universities, ladies and gentlemen. Believe us, or believe me that, you know, that for all of initiatives being taken by all of these individuals, they've literally shaped our lives in each and
That's
every
true,
manner.
of
You know,
course.
because when I haven't actually stepped into my university, I didn't really knew which pant to wear with which shirt or which color to wear, and you know what was the contrast. And then having a, because I went to Air University myself, and you know it was governed by people from Air Force as well, so they were very picky on, you know, how you would dress up and how you would behave as well. So literally they have shaped me the way I am today.
I think my university gave me good communication skills and a sense of community and socializing, because I was really antisocial before that. But yes, it really does matter. So ladies and gentlemen, well, this was one segment, of course, and an enlightening one for Shazad and myself.
Yep.
And I hope it was the same for you as well. But the next one is going to be a little serious, and we need to learn about it, I tell you that. So please stay tuned to find out what it is, because like I said, we need
It's
to
important.
learn about it. It's really important, and awareness is the key to fight it right now. So
Exactly.
stay tuned. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome back to Well This Morning, ladies and gentlemen. So sorry, Shahzad, I
We
cut
decided,
you
no?
off. Right? Oh, I was supposed to. Okay.
It's all right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. You're actually still tuned into PT1 and watching World This Morning. Where early in the morning, ladies and gentlemen, we had a little bit of confusion, but we sorted it out because we're a wonderful team working together.
Absolutely.
But right before heading out towards a short break, Shiza actually mentioned that this is something which we should know about. And it is our responsibility that we make you people aware about it as well. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's one of those things which people do not really get to know before it has actually spread in your body, and it's a killer, ladies and gentlemen. If no precautions are taken in time, God forbid, it can be fatal as well. Yes. On average, people aging from 50 years to 80 years, they've seen it very commonly as well. And not just that, people who are obese, people who are smokers, people who are diabetic as well, they have more chances of having it in them.
All right, and if we haven't already made it clear, we're talking about pancreatic cancer, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it's probably one of the first times that we are talking about it on our show as well, but I think it's so important because it's not very common, but it is sort of neglected because of the fact it's not very common. Exactly. So while a lot of people might also have symptoms for pancreatic cancer, Shahzad, they wouldn't ever think about it, or they wouldn't even go in that direction. And the lifespan for this happens to be 5 months or so, which is really short. So like you already mentioned, if someone does find out, it would already be so late. And how to be treated for that? Is it even treatable at that point? This is something that really happens to a lot of people, unfortunately, who are going through it. Yes. And well, the family has to go through it with them as well.
Exactly.
Pancreas happen to be, well, one of the very important organs of your digestive system. And imagine, Shahzad, if that is not working properly, of course, it's going to be a major disruption in the entire functioning of the body. Exactly. And cancer, of course, then being one other thing too. So we have so many questions, well, basic ones, of course, to understand what this basically does, what the organ does, and what is the malfunctioning that happens in the organ when the cancer, of course, takes over, and how to lead the life with pancreatic cancer as well.
Exactly.
And to answer these, we have some amazing, actually,
a very apt guest over here in the studio, ladies and gentlemen. So without any further ado, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by the pioneers of liver transplant and people who've actually been making sure that that there are people who will be aware about this pancreatic cancer as well. So ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by Dr. Faisal Saudar Sahab as well. Hello sir, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Walaikum salam, good morning.
So thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you over here, and this is for the very first time that we're actually going to speak about pancreatic cancer on our show as well, which we think is very important because I still remember that I've lost a friend just because of this very deadly and fatal cancer as well. So please, first of all, let us know what is pancreatic cancer, how does that happen, and then we'll move in detail and talk about what are the possibilities of healing from this cancer as well.
Thank you very much for your kind invitation. I think this is very much relevant. November is the Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month, which is celebrated internationally. And the purpose is to create awareness among people about pancreatic cancer.
Exactly.
As you have already mentioned, it is one of the deadliest cancer, and it carries one of the poorest survivals among all the cancers. And actually, it is probably the 4th leading cause of cancer-related deaths world over.
Oh, God.
Thankfully, it is not very common, but at the same time, is not that uncommon. We don't have figures from Pakistan, but internationally, more than 200,000 people each year would develop pancreatic cancer every year.
That's insane.
And the nearest data we have about the demographics of this cancer is from India. So 1 to 2.5% per 100,000 population in India would develop a pancreatic cancer. And since Pakistan and India share the same environmental factors and probably the genetic factors.
Same eating habits as well.
Same eating habits. So you can assume it would be the same. So in India, it is probably 1 to 2.5% per 100,000. So that means you would expect around 20 cases per 100,000 per year.
Exactly.
And that is, if you translate into a population of 220 million, which Pakistan carries, you're talking about anything between 4,000 to 5,000 cases of pancreatic cancer every year in Pakistan.
And that's of course not a good number. But sir, a lot of those people are not really also sure to either even get tested for it or not, because like we said, it's not really common. So if you can please explain to us what happens with the organ when the cancer develops.
Unfortunately, the major reason for a poor survival in pancreatic cancer is that majority of the patient presents very late.
Yeah.
In the early form, the pancreatic cancer does not carry much symptoms.
Okay.
And by the time the symptoms develop, it is already too late. So only 10 to 15% of the patients with pancreatic cancer would present at a stage where curative treatment would be possible.
Okay.
And these are the patient. Pancreas is a kind of a sausage-shaped organ which lies in front of your spine.
Yes.
And if somebody develops a cancer in the head of the pancreas, where your intestine and the bile duct from the liver is connected, with the pressure of this cancer, it blocks these bile ducts, and the patient will present with jaundice. And these are actually lucky ones, because they would develop symptoms and get a medical attention and get diagnosed, and hence get a treatment on time.
Okay.
But majority of the patient, if the pancreatic cancer is a little away from the head, it will keep on growing and growing and growing, and by the time you develop some symptoms, it has already spread to the body.
Exactly.
So is it, sorry Shahzad, it's just
Yes,
a
all right.
short question, but if you do detect it in time, is it completely curative?
I mean,
Curable, I mean,
even
if
if
that's
it's
the right word.
detected in time, there is a very small proportion of the patient who will get curative treatment and hence cured. Majority of the patient, that is around 85%, would present at a time when it's already spread to the rest of the body.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if the pancreatic cancer is metastatic, average survival without treatment is only 3 months. And if it is metastatic and the patient can get some form of a chemotherapy, you can extend life anything between 6 months to a year.
And
That's
that's
it.
max.
So, sir, let's talk about all of those bad habits which might help this cancer to actually be in our body or grow in our body as well. Let's talk about the kind of wrong behaviors we indulge ourselves into, due to which we might be more prone to getting this cancer as well. So let's talk about all of those habits as well. So what can actually be the cause of pancreatic cancer in one's body?
I mean, to be very honest, no clear risk factors is absolutely known for it. But as you mentioned in your introduction, smoking is something which has been associated with an increased risk of pancreatic cancer.
Right.
And in terms of your behavior or a lifestyle, I think smoking is the one which actually increase the risk of pancreatic cancer. And the second part is your dietary habits. Although there is no clear relation with a specific form of a diet, but undercooked food, eating huge amounts of barbecued food, that leads to carcinogens in the food material. I think these are the two things in terms of your lifestyle and behavior which can contribute to the pancreatic
And what
cancer.
about obesity, sir, or diabetes?
Obesity and diabetes, of course, are related and has slightly increased risk of pancreatic cancer as well.
And sir, now when we actually have to talk about the treatments, or let's talk about early symptoms. So you said,
Yes.
jaundice is one of those
Yeah.
symptoms which a few will get,
Yeah.
only, and it is lucky for them because they will eventually be diagnosed with it. But there might be some other symptoms as well which one might feel, for example, weight loss, or for
Yeah.
example, hair loss for that matter. Since you're the doctors, you're going to let us know, but let's talk about that. That for all of those people who are out there, for all of our viewers who are out there, ladies and gentlemen, we know that we do not actually have this habit of going to the doctors after every 6 months or 1 year, getting ourselves checked up. So let's just, analyze ourselves today. So, for all of those people who are watching us, let's analyze whether, God forbid, we have a pancreatic issue or not.
I mean, by and large, loss of appetite, pain in the center and the upper part of the belly.
All right.
Some people can have this pain going through the back, And actually, most of the people would keep on ignoring, because in the early form, the symptoms are actually mild.
All right.
Okay.
So weight loss, abdominal pain, at times you can start getting itching, your urine and the stool can get dark. These are the non-specific symptoms which one can develop. Apart from that, once it is at a late stage, you can get the symptoms of whatever the organ is being squashed within the pancreatic cancer, like you can get vomiting, weakness, and these are the symptoms actually.
All right. And now let's talk about the kind of treatments which are available
Yeah.
for all of these issues. Now, God forbid, if somebody came in with the stage 1 pancreatic cancer, what would be the treatment then? For example, then let's move on to stage 2 and then the stage 3.
I mean, by and large, stage 1 and 2 are the one where actually curative treatment can be offered. So if you want to divide these patients into two groups, one is the one group where the pancreatic cancer is diagnosed at an early stage and you can offer treatment. And that treatment is actually surgery. And then the big group of patients who are diagnosed at a late stage, but still they would require some kind of a palliative treatment to make their life easy and the end of life care. So first we talk about the curative treatment. So if the pancreatic cancer is diagnosed at an early stage where it is localized to the pancreas, surgery is the best form of a treatment.
So you take out the pancreas then?
You take out that part of the pancreas
Transplant
where the pancreatic cancer is located. Okay, so you remove that part of the pancreas, and after the surgery, you analyze that pancreatic cancer under a microscope and see different factors like size of the cancer, type of the cancer, whether that cancer has grown into the blood vessels, surrounding lymph nodes and nerves. So these 4 or 5 things actually helps you to build a prognosis for the future. Even at an early stage and a smaller size, like pancreatic cancer can be very aggressive. So if the cancer is an early stage, smaller size, and has not invaded all these structures, that means you stand a good chance for long-term survival. And based on this, you can actually add chemotherapy after the operation once the patient has recovered from the operation. That is generally 3 to 4 weeks after the operation.
But sir, why after the operation? In fact, what I was about to ask you was that, don't you think that, at an early stage it is better to, rather than opt for an operation, go for chemotherapy only?
I mean, unfortunately, there has been different trials of chemotherapy in the last 3-4 decades. And there have been no major breakthrough actually on the chemotherapy front. Like if you look at the other cancers, for example, breast cancer, colonic cancer, there have been major breakthroughs in drug treatment, which has actually revolutionized the treatment, and the survival has significantly extended in these cancers. Now you are actually talking about a cure rate of more than 80%. In these cancers with a combination of surgery, chemotherapy.
For that matter, speaking about leukemia
absolutely.
Itself as well, because there was Gleevec and then Tasigna, and there's this oral chemotherapy which you take, and then the survival's good as well.
But unfortunately on the pancreatic cancer side, there have been no major breakthrough. There have been different trials going on in the last 3 decades with almost the same results. So until unless we get a major breakthrough in the drug therapy, the chances of long-term cure are not going to improve. So far, surgery remains the major stay if you are hoping to offer a curative treatment. And even with surgery, if you want to extend the survival, you have to add chemotherapy, whatever is available.
This is what I wanted to ask, because the main purpose of the surgery is to actually take out that cancer. So once you've taken out that cancer, why do we need chemotherapy after that operation?
I mean, what happens is pancreatic cancer, once it's there, its cells slowly spread. It's locally, it keep on growing and invading structures, but once the cancer cells goes into the blood vessel, through the blood circulation, it can spill over into the rest of the body. So you might have removed the pancreatic cancer by doing an operation, but the cells might have already spilled over and circulating into your body. So, and that is why people who get a surgery, even on time, they can get cancer recurrence few months after the operation. So to kill these cancer cells, you have to give them chemotherapy.
All right. Well, thank you so much, sir, for enlightening us about all of this as well. But towards the end, I want you to let us know that since this is, of course, the month of awareness for pancreatic cancer, what are some
purple is the color.
Purple is the color. Thank you for mentioning. What are some of the activities that people can, or governments can, or institutions can do to raise awareness for this?
I mean, to raise the awareness this month, like in Pakistan, actually, we have not been sensitized to our health issues. And what I have seen in the last 10, 20 years, it's only the breast cancer, which has been taken up by the government. And I saw in October, there were a lot of campaign about creating awareness about breast cancer, because breast cancer is very common, and 1 in 10 women will get a breast cancer. So we have sensitized our masses by awareness campaigns. Since pancreatic cancer is relatively rare, so some people have not taken it up. So what we need to do is, like, I think doing this program is a part of that awareness.
Right.
And thank you very much for that.
Thank you, sir.
And
Our
this is what we
pleasure.
need to do. The doctors need to play their role, the media, the government, everybody. Once you create the awareness, we need to sensitize our people. They have to be sensitive about their health, because we are not health conscious as a nation.
I think they're
We
more
never go
sensitive
for-
about saving money rather spending it on their procedures or spending it on their blood tests and CPs. They're probably more inclined towards saving it. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, if you have a healthy life, only then you can be a wealthy person. Please understand that.
But absolutely. Thank you so much for being here, sir. And like I already mentioned, thank you for the information you gave out. You did play your part for the awareness, and I really hope we did as well.
Exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, the reason, well, of course, to my understanding, that this is not detected in an early age is because the symptoms are so, they're so common, Shazad. I mean, even if you look at, of course, typhoid for that matter, jaundice, sorry, and then we're looking at loss of appetite, weight loss for that matter, or similar things. The mind does not go there probably,
Yep.
you know, and like you said, we don't have the habit of a regular checkup probably after 6 months or so, or even, I mean, more than that.
Yeah.
So do that. We don't want to sort of put or send negative thoughts to you for the day, but if you have these symptoms for a prolonged period of time, then you must seek for experts' advice.
Exactly. And, you know, I think I would rather recommend that you really do not have to wait for long to actually go to the doctor as well.
Okay.
Rather, over here, nobody wants to think about that they might have cancer. But ladies and gentlemen, getting yourself checked up after every
Yes.
6 months or a year time, I think is a wonderful technique to make sure that you're actually going to protect yourself. And once you're going to be there, obviously, you will be able to protect your family and provide for them as well. Thank you very much, Doctor Sir, for being with us. Lovely to have you over here on the show. But ladies and gentlemen, towards the end, obviously, you know, we do have a lot of responsibility to our other peers and colleagues as well. So early in the morning today, one of our engineers walked up to us and he was
Yes.
like, you know, it's my son's birthday today and we want you to wish them. So here we are. We will be actually wishing a very happy Hatch Day to Muhammad Safwan.
Happy
So
birthday.
are you going to
Yes.
sing it? And we're
Let's
going to
do
share
it.
his pictures as well. So can we have his pictures? That is Muhammad Safwan,
He's
ladies
so
and gentlemen.
cute,
It's his
mashallah.
Hatch Day today. So let's do this.
Happy birthday
to you. Happy birthday, dear Safwan. Happy birthday to you. Happy Hajj Day, Muhammad Safwan. Your father is a hero. And on this note, ladies and gentlemen, it happens to be my sister's birthday today as well.
Oh.
So Dr. Amna Usman, a
Oh,
very
Dr.
happy Hajj Day to you
Happy
too as
birthday.
well. Hope you're doing wonderfully well. And for all of those people who are celebrating their birthdays, make sure that you guys are going to have great fun today. And please make sure that you do something in your life which is going to help others too as well.
Absolutely, and help yourself by getting a regular checkup as well, ladies and
Yes.
gentlemen. Write us if you learned something, or if you still have any questions, let us know through our social media pages. On Facebook with the name of,
World This Morning.
on Twitter,
World This Morning without a G.
YouTube,
YouTube, it's World This Morning.
and the repeat of this show you can catch at
5 past midnight, ladies and gentlemen. Till the next time, look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Good morning.
Stay safe.